Ben, great to be with you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Ben, there's a lot to discuss in terms of some of the specifics that impact so many industries, such as the semiconductor chip sector, that, of course, dovetails into the relationship with China and Taiwan, and also, of course, the energy sector. But why don't I first start by getting you to give us your top-down kind of macro perspective, given the geopolitics and all of the various legislations that are being enacted in the United States. How are you and your team looking at the world these days?
Sure. This has been kind of a remarkable period in kind of American politics the past month. President Biden and Democrats have gamely turned legislative and policy disappointment into triumph, a meager agenda into a transformative one. And the question really is, what does this impact on the world, and how are American voters going to reward what has been accomplished? And so, to be sure, I mean, you just look at this past month, and I think it's one of the most notable months in the 21st century of American policymaking. We've seen with Congress pass the CHIPS and Science Act, this $280 billion industrial policy bill, the largest since before President Ronald Reagan, is a strategic pivot in American policy for bolstering tech and semiconductors against a rising China. We've seen kind of on the domestic agenda things like gun control, veterans healthcare, the largest since the 1990s. And finally, Democrats are on the cusp of passing the Inflation Reduction Act, which contains the biggest clean energy push ever, and the first time the government can kind of negotiate drug pricing. And all this is happening kind of with a macro overlay of a lot of improvements in some of the kind of the issues that are front of mind of voters. Inflation didn't increase this past month. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index, was flat. Gas prices continue to ebb. Job growth remains healthy. The stock market had another week of gains. And so I think what Joe Biden and Democrats are trying to change the broader narrative surrounding kind of their governing agenda. For voters, the issue above else is inflation. Inflation is far and above for everyone the most important issue, and they're looking for Democrats to kind of act on that. Now, something like the Inflation Reduction Act isn't necessarily going to reduce inflation in the near term, but it's the act of doing some things. And it's kind of changing their agenda that was first, when they first got into office, of Build Back Better, to something that helps reduce prices. So for Canadians are looking at the kind of the energy sector, the Biden and Democrats want to kind of transform and remove oil and gas. But in order to get Joe Manchin's vote, the senator from West Virginia, to pass reconciliation, they've included a lot of carrots for increasing oil and gas leases and trying to open up pipelines. In terms of kind of electric vehicles, they were looking to increase electric vehicles, but kind of make it the supply chain in North America. So for parts that are made in Canada, the United States, and Mexico are kind of part of the issue. And then there's the issue of tariffs, something that is still kind of very much being debated within the Biden administration. Do you provide tariff relief, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China from the Trump administration? Do you continue those and hold a leverage point against China as Biden and Democrats look tough on China? Or do you provide some like inflation relief in the immediate term of reducing tens of billions of dollars in tariffs? And so these are kind of questions that Biden and the White House and Democrats are looking to resolve as the midterms are in November. And as much as they're having a positive view of where they are today, it's still very much an uphill battle to keep control of Congress.